I'm going to talk about bears today. I've talked about bears in the past. This has got a bit different twist to it. Many years ago, Yellowstone Park was purposely killing a lot of grizzlies in Yellowstone Park. This, from information that I have from my witnesses, people that I knew over the years, 3 different people, eyewitnesses. Yellowstone Park was killing grizzlies just right after World War I, had somebody on predator control to do so, and this grizzly situation continued for many years. Now we go a long ways from just after World War I to the point where in the early 70s it was determined by the Wyoming Game and Fish Department and Fish and Wildlife Service and some other people that the grizzly was in considerable decline. Well, hell yes, it was in considerable decline, because we had Yellowstone Park Service rangers killing grizzlies just right and left, and I'm not exaggerating. There was many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of grizzlies that were killed, and the information was, when they listed the grizzly bears endangered in 1975, that we only had about 139 or 40 grizzlies or something in this area of Wyoming, and that we needed to put these bears on the endangered list. Well, this is where things really went right straight to hell. This was all brought on by government. Almost everything that we see going on today is a government problem. The government doesn't have a damn clue what the hell it's doing. They didn't have a clue with that. Right now, we've got so many aspects of government that's destroying this country. But I'm going to confine this to the grizzly bear in the process, and talk about the black bear, what's really happened. Well, just only a few years into this endangerment listing of the grizzly bear, we started having the Wyoming Game and Fish Department and the Fish and Wildlife Service killing some of these grizzlies, even though the bear was listed as endangered. And every year since they were listed in 1975, right up this year, you see, they're killing grizzlies. And over the length of time, between the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, the Montana Game Departments, the Idaho Game Departments, and the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Park Service, over this length of time since 1975, it should be very obvious that there's many hundreds of grizzlies that have been killed. Now, if we've got a bear that's listed as endangered, why in the hell, when this bear just doesn't quite fit the skit, that we go and kill it? Now, I think every damn bear, irregardless of what it is, should be killed if it's mauled or worked on or killed a human being. I'm not in disagreement with that. But because the bear has done this or the bear has done that, got into a little bit of trouble because, as I said, it just doesn't quite fit the skit, boys. Well, isn't that just too damn bad? You, the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, you, the Fish and Wildlife Service, you, the Park Service people, you've created the whole damn problem. From the very get-go, when these bears were listed, these bears have been handled and rehandled and tagged and, been tranquilized and tagged and measured and weighed and blood samples taken and all sorts of things, teeth pulled. And when they were tranquilizing some of these grizzlies, I was told by one of these individuals in the game department, over 35 years ago, that they were using basically a drug that on the street at one point in time was known as angel dust. This is pretty damn dangerous drug. And when that drug was wearing off of the bear, and the bear was going to arouse and basically take off on its own, one of these game wardens started flogging the bear with a coat that he'd been wearing so that the bear was conditioned to humans. Well, it didn't condition the bear to a human, it just made him pissed off. And he never would forget that human. And when he'd come around a human, he'd be apt to kill you because he didn't like your antics. You see, everything that's been going on. And when they listed this bear, in short order, it became illegal to bait bears for the purpose of hunting bears, to draw them in and shoot the bears. You could no longer bait. You couldn't bait a black bear. Only certain places could you do this, you see. But at the same damn time that it was illegal for you to bait a bear, what the hell do you suppose the game department's doing? To draw the bear into a covert trap to catch him, to move him somewhere, because the bear has become a problem and is habituated to human food. Well, guess what? That covert trap is baited. Here we go. I thought it was illegal to bait. Oh, not for the Game and Fish Department. It's not illegal for them to kill them. They just go and kill a damn bear when the hell ever they want to. They have a little discussion with the Fish and Wildlife Service. Well, we'll just kill the bear. Well, you see, everything that we've got going on right now today has been created by these agencies, these so-called know-it-alls, these so-called experts that have just had their finger in everything to do with the bear, you see. And over time, various individuals have gotten in a poor situation because they've been hunting black bears and they've mistaken a bear that's a grizzly or a black bear. Well, here just on the very 1st of May, an individual right here in the valley where I live, on the opening day early in the morning, he killed a big brown bear. It turns out that it's not a brown black bear, it turns out it's a grizzly. And he turned himself in. And I've heard talk that this guy could get the maximum sentence of $50,000 and a year in jail. Well, this is counterproductive. And I'm going to explain why it's counterproductive. The Wyoming Game and Fish Department has pamphlets, has orders. When you buy a bear tag, it describes the grizzly and it describes the black bear. Now the grizzly, according to the Game and Fish Department's got a hump, and it's got a dish from its forehead and its nose. It's got a dish face. Now a black bear has a straighter face and it doesn't have a hump. Oh, really? Now I have seen grizzlies that have absolutely no hump whatsoever. I've actually seen grizzlies that have actually a dish. Their back comes along and it just dishes right down into their head. There's no hump whatsoever. Now, grizzlies can be had in the same colors as black bears, and black bears can be had in the same color as grizzlies. Except for you're not going to get a jet black grizzly. If the bear's jet black, it's a shiny jet black, it's probably damn sure a black bear. But if it's any other shade or color, from cinnamon color, clear up to black, browns, all the shades of browns, it could be a grizzly. But it could also be a black bear. Now, you see, there's no way in the world, in my observation, I happened to started hunting these bear, both species of bear 59 years ago. I hunted grizzlies and I've hunted black bear. And I know what the difference is. But you or I or anybody else can't absolutely 100% definitely say this is a grizzly 100% of the time, or it's a black bear 100% of the time. Absolutely nobody knows absolutely for certain. The only way that you're going to figure out for certain is if you shoot the bear and you walk up to it, and it's got big long claws about like that, and they're curved just about like that. That's a grizzly bear, folks. But if it's got cat-type claws, it's a black bear. It's plain and damn simple. Now, how many bear are going to let you walk up to them, or going to let you walk up to them and see, provided the bear picks up its foot so it's not on the ground, so you can see its claws. Now, some of these bear, when they're walking, these big old grizzlies, you can see their big old shiny claws. They're just unbelievably big, you see. That's the only definite way to tell if it's a grizzly bear, for certain. Now, I have seen black bears of all sorts of different colors that have quite high shoulders. I guess that could be described as a hump. Just as I told you that there are grizzlies that don't have a hump. I've got a very nice 6 foot plus brown face black bear rug here on the wall, and it's got a big head. It's got shorter, very rounded ears. It's about a medium, or on the maybe lighter side of brown. It's got a big dish in its face. It's got a wide nose. Now, according to looking at that head, you could perhaps say, well, it's a grizzly. I guess I can't shoot it. It's a grizzly. Well, it's not a grizzly. It is a brown face black bear. Now, it seems as though to me that the government, judges, and the game department, and the Fish and Wildlife Service is out to crucify anybody that kills one of these bear. Now, there's a lot of individuals, if they shot a bear and they got a maximum fine of $50,000 and a year in jail, it would ruin their entire life, it'd ruin their livelihood and everything that they do. The guy's married and he's got 4 kids, but the hell with it, he just can't work because he's in prison for a year and he got a $50,000 fine, and what's going to happen to his wife and his children? Really, folks, I mean, but we've got these government officials from various agencies that have shot literally hundreds and hundreds of grizzly bears. And they continue to do so because they think that they're better than everybody else. You see? And we've got a constitution here in the United States of America, and it was written, there was only one constitution, not 2 of them. There wasn't one for the government and another one for the individual. You're starting to get the drift? This is all wrong. Let's say that there's a jury trial for one of these situations. Well, I think that everybody on that jury needs to listen to what I have to say, because there's no way in the world that everybody 100% of the time can know. Sometimes yeah, and sometimes no. And there's not a judge that's going to make the final decision, and one thing or another, whatever it happens to be, that he's going to be any better about telling whether it's a grizzly bear or a black bear than you or I or the next person, or even the game department. Now here's the kicker, folks. Here about 6-7 years ago or something like that, there was a fella that was basically in charge here, working for the game department, to do with the grizzly situation. Well, he and a friend were hunting on a day, and it was, it was in the afternoon, and it had been raining and one thing and another, and they spotted a very, very nice bear. Well, the guy's got a bear tag. So actually he went and bought a bear tag, basically because they were out in the outdoors, one thing or another. and they in the springtime, and they saw this very nice bear. So they went back and they relocated the bear again. It was still right in the same area, and they'd studied this bear now for several hours before. And they went back and looked at it. Yeah, it's the same bear and everything. And they shot the bear, and they walk up to it, and it's got those nice long straight claws. It's a grizzly bear. Well, the guy turns himself in. This is a game department employee that's overseeing the grizzly aspect of the game department, like somebody that oversees, the wolf and the bear or whatever. You see, that was his specialty. He didn't know any damn more about whether this bear. He said it didn't have a hump. Here we are. This is one of the first things that said it didn't have a hump. Well, with this information that's handed out by the game department, where do they become kind of liable for misinformation? If the bear doesn't have a hump, it's a black bear. If it's got a hump, it's a grizzly. Well, the guy was fined about $11,000, and he was put on kind of a probation for a bit, and he's still paying that fine. He's been paying that $11,000 fine at $100 a month. And the guy, the last that I knew, works right here, 20 miles from us, of the Wyoming Game and Fish Department in Cody. Still works there. He's lost 50 pounds. He was worried sick over it. You see? Well, I think that maybe this needs to be looked at just a little bit better. Instead of just, it's a poaching because you illegally killed it. You didn't intentionally take an illegal animal. You just simply, based on the information that's presented to you by the Game and Fish Department on the identity of which species of bear that it is, you took the bear and it turns out that it's the wrong species. Well, humans are humans, and everybody can make a mistake. And there's not anything at all taken into account here. But all these things I'm describing, I'm not encouraging the illegal taking of the bear. Hell no. What I'm discouraging here is ruining somebody's life over a damn bear that these government agencies can just, after the bear's made a couple of mistakes, the bear can't make a mistake because they're going to kill him, you see. And the person can't make a mistake because they want to just crucify him. Well, you see, the thing is, these game department people, whether it's Wyoming Game and Fish Department, whatever game department, or the Fish and Wildlife Service, or the Park Service, you see, there is nothing. There is nothing. They just hide behind all this. They're not responsible for anything. They're not responsible for any of these aspects whatsoever. But automatically now, that guy is responsible when he killed this bear, or anybody else has killed one of these bears. It could be you, folks. It could be one of your friends, your neighbor. It's not good. It's not right. And we've got environmentalists constantly going and picking liberal judges to stop us from ever having this grizzly bear permanently delisted and that we hunt it. From my point of view, we're never ever in our lifetimes going to be able to hunt these grizzlies because environmentalists are going to see that it does not happen. We are absolutely overrun with grizzlies. They've expanded their ranges so far that it's been in print here that I just read yesterday that they've expanded about as far as they're going to expand, and one thing and another. Well, until what else happens? I don't believe that they're going to stop expanding. It might be that it's just kind of slowed for the moment, but we have way too many grizzlies. The man that was overseeing the director of the Wyoming Game and Fish Department back in the late 70s, was a very good guy. He basically cut his teeth there in the Cody region in the game department, became the director of the Game and Fish. 3 years into the listing of that grizzly bear, he tried to get something done to where if there was actually a problem bear, that they could get a hold of an individual, a hunter, and see that he was given a license and he could go and kill that bear. And this is what should have happened from the very beginning. If there's actually problem bears out here, and brother, there are some problem bears because they've made them problems, but they should never be killed by the game department, the Fish and Wildlife, or the Park Service. These bears should be killed by a licensed hunter in whatever state that they're in, and everything should be handled in that fashion.
Income.
It's an income. It's an income. There are plenty of people out here that will be damn glad and very happy and very thankful to be able to kill a grizzly bear. But instead, the government's got their damn finger in it, and everything they've got their finger in this country, everything, folks, they're following it up, including what we love to do, being in the outdoors and hunt. It's an attack on hunting. It's a personal attack to try and ruin somebody's life. It magnifies many, many times over the issue when we've got these game department people and these other people killing these bears, because they're no damn better than the guy that's labeled as a poacher because he illegally took. You're a bunch of damn poachers yourself, if that's where you work and that's what you do. And see that this bear is delisted once and for all, and we hunt bear.
I add that in last year, between May and October of 2022, we either saw personally or saw tracks of more bear on our property within 100 yards of the house in that length of time than we did in the first 29 years. And just a few weeks ago, there is a grizzly in the night that made a bed 4 feet from our bathroom window wall. Got up in the night and left before we saw it, but we saw the nest that it made. That's just not acceptable, but it's because these bears have been pushed around and moved around, so many of them, that yes, they're expanding their range. And for the people that say, well, you live in their territory, every single one of you listening to this in the United States and elsewhere are living in the territory of either a grizzly, a black bear, or some other large predator. Even if you're in the middle of a big city, you're living in their territory. So don't give us that malarkey of, well, you're living in their territory. They used to be hunted. They used to be afraid of people. They're not afraid of people anymore, and they should be. Because we shouldn't have to be afraid when we go outside looking around to be sure there's not a bear that's going to attack us.
Thank you, folks.